I just don't know what more I can put out there to warn people. The facts are, it's for young, pretty girls to be used.
I have to be honest, I have to tell you that I have been lying about something. I have been lying about something very important because I was hoping to get some free Lindemann tickets. And I thought that could get free tickets to these Lindemann shows and to Rammstein next year. I thought that I could get free tickets if I said nice things about my experience at the 2022 San Antonio Rammstein concert. And so the first video that I did, if you'll remember, the first Rammstein video that I did, after Shelby came forward with her accusations, I talked about my own experiences at the after parties. And I said very nice things, and I said it was very safe, and there was no drama, and no one, including Till, hit on me, and I even said it was kind of boring. But I lied. And it was because I was hoping to get some free Rammstein tickets and Lindemann tickets. But now I see what's going on is that I'm not going to be getting those free tickets. So I have decided that I'm going to tell the truth about my experience, my own Rammstein after party row zero story. And the reason that I have decided to tell the truth now is because the great journalist Daniel Drepper, he's right up there with like Walter Cronkite and those Washington Post reporters that brought down Nixon. He's right up there with them. Daniel Drepper announced recently that he is doing a book. It's going to be out in the spring. He is writing a book called Row Zero, and it's going to be an expose showing everyone what the real row zero experience is, what it's really like for young women who go to these Rammstein shows and go to the parties, the row zero parties. The stars just really aligned. I was like, okay, it's finally time to tell the truth and to tell the truth about my own row zero story. And so I'm going to write something and give it to Daniel Drepper. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to be a whole chapter in his book, like not just, a few paragraphs or whatever. I'm hoping it's going to be a whole chapter. But I've been writing some notes, and this so far is all I've got. So I need some inspiration. And so I thought what I would do is I could tell you the story, and that would be some like nice practice. So this is what really happened. So I went to the San Antonio show in 2022. I had this friend who knew the band, and she got me into the parties and everything, right? I thought that this person was just being nice. I thought that they were just being a friend. I have since come to the conclusion, however, that this was a whole coercive operation going on to get me in the suck box with Till Lindemann. And, now that I think about it, it makes sense because this person, this mutual friend who was, as I see now, grooming and recruiting me for Till Lindemann and coercing me into this situation, this person also worked for Marilyn Manson. They have. I don't want to say their name because I don't want you all to run to their page and start threatening them and stuff. But it's someone that I've done several interviews with who used to be the personal assistant for Marilyn Manson and whose name starts with P. And so, it didn't really click for me what was going on, that this person that I thought was a friend was actually a rock star concubine recruiter. It did not click for me until I read that Spiegel article, Der Fall Rammstein. I read that Spiegel article, and one of the things that Spiegel article pointed out is that Till Lindemann's other concubine recruiter, Alina, I won't say her last name either, okay? Don't want you going over there and threatening her. But his number one concubine recruiter, Spiegel said she used to recruit girls for Marilyn Manson. And I was like, oh my God. So there's multiple women doing this for these rock stars. There are multiple rock star concubine recruiters operating among us. So it all totally made sense. It totally made sense to me. And so I see now that I was groomed, recruited, and coerced to go to this concert, this Rammstein concert in San Antonio, and to go to these after parties. I see that now. So that casts it in an entirely different light, and I'll be talking about that more in my, hopefully, the chapter that I'm going to get in Daniel Drepper's book. Now, this is what actually really happened that night at the parties. So first of all, when we first got to the after party, the first thing that happens, there's a lot of people, mostly women, right? But a lot of people standing around and, talking and drinking, what have you. But as soon as we get in there, my friend and I, the first person who comes up to us is Joe Letts. And Joe Letts, he was trying to, play it off like, oh, I hadn't seen, this person, my friend, in a while or whatever, and they're like catching up and, and so forth. But he was eyeing me the whole time. He was eyeing me up and down. And I know now that he was trying to evaluate me to see if I was someone that Till would like. And he even started asking me these like strange questions, like, how do you feel about 60-year-old Willie? Do you like sex with older men? Things like that. And I didn't put it together at the time. It was all like happening so fast and everything. And so of course I know now what was going on. And so, I told Joe, I said, sure, I love 60-year-old Willie. I love it. I love older men, right? But here's where the communication breakdown was. Joe thought that I was talking about Till Lindemann when I was saying that. I was just theoretically, like in general, just saying, yeah, I mean, who doesn't love 60-year-old Willie? And so I think that's where Joe got confused, and he thought that I was willing to have sex with Till Lindemann. And so then Joe, he pulls out this camera, and he's like, can you stand there and be like really still for a minute? And I'm like, sure, because again, it was all happening too fast. Like I just couldn't like really process what was going on, And so he was like, can you stand there really still? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he starts filming me up and down. All right. And but again, like, I didn't think anything of it. It's like, yeah, it's rock star parties, whatever, weird, strange things happen, what have you. Maybe he wants me to be like a dancer, a stage dancer for Rammstein, like add some, because they need some women up there, honestly. Like, have you ever noticed that it's like it's all dicks up there on stage? Or at least the concert that I went to, dude, I didn't see a single woman on stage. I saw nothing but dicks. And so, I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed right there. So the German Ministry of Culture, they announced that they were going to start cracking down on sexism in the arts and stuff. And like the Brits are doing the same thing, right? They're going to, with the Russell Brand thing, they're going to devise a whole like organization, a whole panel to like basically oversee all film and TV productions to make sure that they're gender equitable and everything. That's actually true. Isn't it crazy? But anyway, German Ministry of Culture, you need to get on this, because I think that it should be, I'm sure there's some law, I'm sure it's illegal in some way to have only men on stage in a concert. Like, come on, it's 2023. Can we at least get someone up there? Let's get Bjork up there or something. So anyway, I think Joe had something else in his head than what I was thinking. I thought he wanted me to be a dancer. I thought they wanted to make their stage more inclusive and start recruiting some women. So that's why I thought he was like filming me up and down, while everyone's standing around. So anyway, finally Till comes in, and I don't even know how to describe it. Like, there was just this energy. Like, from the moment he stepped into the room, there was just this like predatory energy. And everybody, you can see like all the women were terrified, right? Nobody knew what to do, right? But it was all like happening so fast. We're like, oh my God, this predator has just entered the room. What are we going to do? And we're all just like staring at each other. And unfortunately, Kayla Schicks was not there. So she, we needed someone to save us. Like, Kayla saved those women at the German show, right? But who were uncomfortable with that after party, and so like we didn't have our Kayla, So it's like, unfortunately, I'm just not that brave, and it was all happening like so fast, and I was so like young and everything, I don't feel like my brain is even fully developed like right now. Like I don't feel like I'm probably going to be ready to date grown men for another 10 years or so. So anyway, yeah, we didn't have Kayla there, so we were all just like scared and like, what the fuck, you know? And Till just goes on a rampage. He starts like breaking shit, and he took out a sledgehammer, and he said that he's like, boy, I just love to like beat the shit out of things. And so he just goes around and he's just with this sledgehammer, and he's like foaming at the mouth, and he's like, he's growling and stuff. And what's funny about it is this is like not too far off from how these women in these ludicrous stories describe him. But anyway, and so like we were just like, oh my god, what do we do? And they'd confiscated our phones. I forgot to tell you that they'd confiscated our phones, and so like it was just like, I don't know, it was scary. Well, then Till finally calmed down, and he, you know, I guess he'd gotten some of that aggression out of his system or whatever, and so he finally calmed down. And he said, hey, let's have some tequila. Who wants to have some tequila? And like nobody really wanted to do it, but we're like, oh, you know, we're also like so traumatized at that point that we kind of felt like we needed a shot, you know, to take the edge off of the trauma that we had just been through. So then something really, really concerning happened. Till said, I want all the men in the room to leave, except for Joe, of course, my henchman. And so like the guys who were there, they left. And so it was just us women. And then he said, I want all women
over 25 to leave
as well. And so like all of the middle-aged women left. And, you know, people tell me that I look really young. So I was like, I think I can pass for 25. So I didn't leave, right? You might ask, why didn't I leave if I was traumatized and I was being offered an opportunity to leave? Well, you just don't understand how coercive control works. And frankly, I don't have time to educate you on that. But anyway, so then it was just me and a bunch of 25-year-old and unders. And me and a bunch of young women, teenagers, whatever, with Till. And Till starts, he opens the bottle of tequila. And I noticed that there wasn't a fresh seal on that. It didn't make that noise. You know how when something is sealed right and you open it, I should get a bottle and I can demonstrate in a moment. Because I think that, you know, those demonstrations are really effective, like Shelby was doing with the foam. But anyway, it doesn't foam. It doesn't foam. But anyway, I know what it sounds like when there is a tight seal on something. And so you open something that's sealed and it makes that noise. Yep. And so this did not make that. It didn't make that. And so like I was suspicious right off the bat. But you know, again, things were just like going so fast and you know, my brain hadn't really developed fully yet and whatever. So then Till starts pouring shots from this tequila bottle. And it looked a little funny, honestly. There was like this white chalky stuff, kind of this powder like swirling around, but again, things were just going so fast and my brain hadn't developed enough or whatever. So I took the shot and other women took the shot and then somehow though, the other women didn't pass out and I did. And I passed out and I woke up the next day in my hotel room and I had these bruises all over my body. Strangely enough, I also seem to have acquired some bruises on my clothing because my clothing had the same discoloration as the bruises on my body. But you know, I mean, who knows, right? Who knows how things happen? Maybe someone assaulted me and then they painted my clothes as well as like an added insult. That's what I think probably happened. That's how I explain at least the fact that my clothes have discoloration on them that's the exact same color as the skin that I'm saying is bruised. But anyway, like I said, so yeah, so this is what I think happened. I think Till did some bad shit to me. I think when I passed out and he sent the others home or whatever, and then he was free to do what he wanted with me, and I think he assaulted me, and I think he painted my clothes. That's what I think happened. So I am going to be sharing my story with Daniel Drepper. It will be coming out in the book Row Zero, and hopefully then I'll get a spread in the New York Times and Rolling Stone and maybe a documentary on HBO. Yeah. This week's new astounding revelation that Shelby Lynn, the initial and primary accuser who got this whole ball rolling in the Rammstein Lindemann Me Too hoax, I would say, she is being investigated by Lithuanian authorities. So I want to say a couple of things, okay? Well, more than a couple, but I'll make some major points here. First of all, of course, the prosecutors closed the case into Lindemann because, as a number of us have been saying from close to the beginning, when it was obvious this was just a media-created, partially media-created and then problematic personality, perhaps personality disordered women created, hoax, Me Too hoax. And it was obvious there was never any there. And so, as it has developed, as it has progressed, it just got to the point, I'm sure, where the prosecutors said, we don't have anything here. We don't even have a main complainant that would go to police. The prosecutors, they said in their statement, the prosecutor's office in Berlin, when it officially closed the case on Till Lindemann of Rammstein. And in its letter, it said a number of things, but one of the things that it said is that the only complaints that they got in the prosecutor's office were second or third hand complaints. Like, it wasn't even anyone who had first-hand experienced something or a second-hand witness who someone had said, oh, Lindemann did this to me. No, it's just third-hand complaints. It might as well have been people reading Der Spiegel or reading Shelby, more likely in the timeline, reading Shelby Lynn's tweets and saying, oh my God, I've got to call the prosecutor's office. I mean, it's that loony. And the prosecutor's office, they did not, in that letter, they did not, that statement they released, they did not make YouTuber Kayla Schicks sound good. And then there was that whole apology section, sentences for Elena Makieva. The prosecutor's office specifically singled her out. And in addition to saying they had cleared Lindemann and were closing the case, they specifically said that there was absolutely no evidence that Makieva had done anything illegal and also no evidence of any underage stuff. So you can just see that the prosecutor's office was not buying it, and too bad that our LADA here in America can't have the same kind of breakthrough with the Marilyn Manson case, but whatever, we know the political reasons for that. That's right, if you don't know much about that case, you can just, write fake FBI letters and perpetuate massive hoaxes that recruit a bunch of women to lie, and then one of those women can even, later on say, yeah, we were lying, it was a hoax, and everybody's just like, okay. And the LADA is just like, I don't know, we've got to study this more. We've got to understand this. We've got to really wrap our minds around it. But I guess that the Berlin prosecutors in Germany did not have that issue. And so they've cleared Lindemann, and they exonerated Elena Makieva, and they made Kayla Schicks look bad, and so on and so forth. Well, this latest revelation is a story broken by the German Bild magazine, if I'm saying that right. And boy, you know that Bill just hated to have to report this one because, look, the entire German media and the mainstream media and the American media to an extent were gunning for Till Lindemann. And they thought, oh, look at this toxic, hyper-masculine guy who, what is it people don't like? Roll the German R or whatever. I was reading some article about Rammstein, and it was talking about, how people get offended by the R, and I'm like, man, I get it. There's, historical associations or whatever, but, it's just, come on. So anyway, they don't like the way he rolls his R's or whatever. And they wanted, and he just looks like a guy, his very, Lindemann, and some of the other guys, too, I guess the other guys in the band, no slight to them, but, Lindemann just looks like he could be, straight out of some kind of, Viking movie. And I don't care how old he is, or 60-year-old, really, or whatever, I'm just saying, that's the overall impression. And so I just don't think the media like all of that. We're in Christina Lunz and all of these, German feminists or European feminists or whatever, they just don't like that shit. And so but in the media, have just been gunning for him. So you know that Bild magazine would not have reported that Shelby Lynn is under investigation by the Lithuanian police, for defamation and for slander against Till Lindemann. You know that they would not have reported that unless they had really good evidence on that. Yeah, I will stand here all day on my show and I will talk about how shitty the mainstream media are, but If it's a story that they really don't want to report, like a possible Me Too hoaxer faker trying to bring down this band, if that's a story they really don't want to report, then they're going to have to be really careful and really sure before they report something like that. And Shelby can claim, and her spokespeople or her lawyers or whatever, well, let me put it this way. Spiegel magazine just came out, German Spiegel, just came out with a story today acknowledging that Till Lindemann, that he's no longer under investigation, but also acknowledging that, yes, the Lithuanian police are investigating someone for slander, defamation in connection with the Lindemann case. But here's the thing. Spiegel magazine, German Spiegel, it is claiming flat out that Shelby Lynn is not under investigation. Now, I get that there's a translation issue, and I looked at that article, I read that article in the English translation, so I had some friends of mine who were reading the German look at it for me, and they concurred. Spiegel gives absolutely no evidence in that article, absolutely no evidence or references or sources or citations or anything for the idea that Shelby Lynn is not under investigation. What Spiegel said, what the Spiegel article says that came out today, if you look at it, if you really read it, is that the according to them, the Lithuanian police wouldn't comment officially on the record about whom is the subject of their investigation. And then there were some kinds of threats made from Shelby's side, from Shelby's camp, as to lawyers getting involved and suing Bild magazine. But that is it. And that is not evidence of anything. And it is very clear, let me just boil it down for you here. It is very clear that what happened is that Spiegel magazine, they have been in a multi-month fight with Rammstein, with Till Lindemann specifically, and Till Lindemann's lawyers. They have been in a months-long fight now. And Spiegel magazine Der Spiegel has had to pay a shitload of money to fight Till Lindemann's lawyers in court, and also their credibility has been totally shot to hell by what Till Lindemann's lawyers have exposed about their shoddy journalism. And let us not forget, I'm sorry, I'm like screaming into this. Somebody said the other day, all you do anymore is like scream, and I'm like, scream in your videos. It's true though, it is true. Spiegel magazine, their biggest story of the year so far was the Rammstein Lindemann story. Der Fall Rammstein, with, Lindemann there looking so scary. That was their biggest story of the year. And it was exposed by Lindemann's lawyers and some of us in social media, frankly. It was exposed as being bullshit. Shoddy journalism, terrible journalism. So, yeah, they are really pissed. And I guarantee you what happened is their contact called up Shelby or whatever, and Shelby is claiming to anybody who will listen that this is not true and no police, no investigators have contacted me and whatever. And so they're just taking Shelby's word for it, I'm sure. Plus the fact that they don't have it officially on record from the Lithuanian police that she is the subject of this investigation. But I'm just telling you, I feel very confident that Bild magazine would not have published that story in this instance without some significant corroboration. And look, don't forget, Shelby made the Lithuanian police look like idiots. This is another very amusing, funny part of this whole situation, is that Shelby ragged on the Lithuanian police in Vilnius excessively on her Twitter and on her Instagram. And so, and they were made to look stupid and slow, and they don't care about sexual assault, and, they don't care about this story, and this is outrageous, and all these people were making them look bad. They don't like that. And so they know it's a hoax. They investigated it. They know it's a hoax. It was, I'm sure, obvious to them from the beginning for a number of reasons I've already gone over, that Shelby was, lying, faking, crazy, whatever. So they know it's a hoax, and they don't appreciate this foreigner, I'm sure, as she is, they don't appreciate this foreigner dragging them through the mud and making them look like, to use an American term, Keystone Cops. So yeah, they're investigating her. And maybe they have some sense of honor, too. So they're investigating her. So anyway, I think it's great. It's great headlines. I have plenty of issues, as I've said, with the mainstream media and the justice system, but sometimes they do, I think, get it right. And in this instance, Build Magazine, they reported something. They got a lot of shit for it. Good for them. And I've seen no sign that, no indication that the story's not correct. And it's true. The criminal cases into Lindemann, the criminal case, the Berlin prosecutors, they closed it. That is over. And let me say one more thing. Lindemann's lawyers have been racking up the wins in court against so many of these journalistic outlets, these mainstream magazines and websites and so forth. And I just want everybody to realize, I don't know if it's dawned on all of you or not, and that's not to be condescending, I'm just saying as a point of emphasis, I want everyone to realize how fucking expensive all this shit is. And I don't know how many, I've heard the song that Lindemann wrote about, like, he can't even, like, afford nice cigars like his friends because he's popping out too many babies. I know, it's just part of the persona or whatever. But he better have a nice little bank account that he's sitting on, because he is running through it, I am sure, pursuing these, taking these different media outlets to court. And one of the most interesting things that Till Lindemann's lawyers have done over the past several months is that each of them, Simon Bergman and Christian Schertz, they both gave interviews, extensive interviews, to the German media. And in these interviews, they talked about a lot more than Lindemann's innocence. They talked about and really diagnosed and dissected these modern Me Too hoaxes and media hit jobs. And one of the things that they said in their interviews is that the name of the game with a lot of these mainstream media outlets is to go ahead and print defamatory stuff, even if they don't have evidence of it, or even if they suspect it may not be true, because these mainstream media outlets make the calculation that litigation will be so expensive that the vast majority of their targets, so to speak, will not fight back in court, will not go after them in court. And one of Lindemann's lawyers said in one of these interviews that on average, taking one of these journalistic entities to court cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I just want all of you in the audience, and Lindemann and Rammstein supporters in particular, we should realize this, but all of us, that every time you see a little notice or an article or something on Twitter about another case that Lindemann's lawyers have won or are battling in court with these media outlets, you can think about all of the millions of dollars that he is spending to do it. And he's not just, I would imagine, Lindemann is not just doing it to clear his name, but also because he's doing it because he thinks actually that there's something very wrong with society and that someone needs to stand up to it in the ways in which they can.